Okay, as part of our famous journalist series, I want to welcome a good friend of mine. I've known him for, God, at least 30 years from our time in San Antonio together. He used to work at KMOL TV, I think it was the NBC affiliate.
Yep.
And Brian Karem is a columnist for Salon magazine. He's the former White House correspondent for Playboy magazine. He sued Donald Trump 3 times, and he won all three to stay in the press room. He's like Johnny Depp. He's from Kentucky. Uh, he has been he has been a wonderful journalist, and I would say the word I would use is fearless. This is a guy that does not take anything from anybody, and he's always searching for the truth. So Brian will speak for a few minutes. I know he only has half an hour. He is covering the election nationally around the country, and he's been very kind to give us his time. So we'll just have a brief few words about what he's doing and what's going on, and then we'll open up to questions. So how about a big welcome for Brian Karem?
Thanks, Rob. And I'd do anything for you, brother. So glad to be here. It's a strange world that we live in, that no matter how low the Republicans sink, we can barely get above them. I got to tell you, it's frightening to me to sit here and watch this election, knowing damn well that in about 3 weeks' time, I may be opening up a mojito bar with my good buddy Jim Acosta on the beach in Lisbon, Portugal, to avoid the long arm of Donald Trump and his minions. It's not, I keep telling people, they say, who do I vote for? Who do I vote for? And I go, it's real easy. You're not voting for Harris versus Trump. You're voting for democracy versus fascism. So that's the decision you have to make. And you've got to get people out to vote. The Democrats came out of their Democratic National Convention very energized. But the Donald Trump minions are very strong. I spent a day in Missouri, and it was actually kind of depressing for me to have to sit there and watch and see this. Welcome to Trump land. Trump and it was Trump and Vance. We want to go back, and so it's take America back, and that works for them in too many ways. Donald Trump wants to take you back to the 1850s, and it's in direct contrast to the Harris campaign, which says we won't go back. So that's where we're at. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm telling you, I'm not partisan. I'm just telling people this is the most important election of our lifetime. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but you got to get to your friends. You got to get to people that normally don't vote and encourage them to vote up and down the ballot, because it doesn't help if the executive mansion is inhabited by a constitutionalist or a Democrat, and then you have a Congress run by people like Mike Johnson. So there you go. What you got? I'm in for a penny, in for a pound.
Great. Thank you, Brian. And right now we're going to start. I know we keep hearing that sign. We get more and more people online. We're going to start to see if we have any questions from our live audience first before we go online. So any questions? Carol Schwartz, we'll start off with you. Go ahead, Carol.
Being where you are, how do you think it looks for Lucas Coons?
Being where I am, I think that's a good question. I think a challenge, to say the least. I think one of the things that I thought was encouraging is not the Coons race, but in Missouri, I think Josh Hawley has a real problem being, if that's probably, I think he's probably more than any other Republican got a chance of really being unseated.
Wow. It's great news. Okay. Anyone else from our live audience first that has a question? I know, Reggie, you said you wanted to have the first question earlier, so we'll go with you. Reggie Jew, our board member. Go ahead.
Oh, I had asked Brian earlier if Trump does lose this election, is there somebody that has the charisma to carry Trumpism forward, or is it dead?
No, J.D. Vance is the younger, kinder, gentler fascist. You saw him with in the vice presidential debate. essentially carrying and throwing Donald Trump under the bus, carrying the water for the Heritage Foundation, throwing Donald Trump under the bus by saying this is a great country, whereas Trump has called it a hellhole. So he stands for the same things, but he's the Heritage Foundation's future. And let me tell you, honestly, Donald Trump is the most expendable person on the ticket right now. If something were to happen to him after the election, should he win, there is no one in the Republican Party that would care, because they've got younger, more vibrant people. They've already placed 3 of their Heritage Foundation members in the Supreme Court, and with someone like Vance, permanent eyeliner fella, who looks like, you know, a refugee from a 70s disco, if he's in, they're happy. So yes, this does not die. Donald Trump is a symptom, not the cause.
Right. All right. Okay, Reggie, go ahead. Reggie G is going to ask the question online. Go ahead. Oh, okay, great. Online question for you, Brian.
I'm ready. I didn't do it. I wasn't in the vicinity. It's not my fault.
Hi. My question is on the liberal media. I mean, we know that the right-wing media is in their own ecosystem and mostly conspiracy theories, and they have very little access to anything outside of that ecosystem. But do you see any criticism of the liberal media in terms of, for example, why did we not say much vocally about Joe Biden's health and mental acuity until it became too late and too visible? I recall, for example, the report that came out by Department of Justice, I think his name was regarding his retention of memory of leaking documents. And he said that he was a well-meaning man, but he had issues with memory and recall, and he was attacked for basically saying the truth. Are we also in our own ecosystem where
yes,
the reaction to what they say on the far right, we also, discount anything that they say, even when it's true?
Look, I could criticize the media and we'd be here for 3 weeks. The bottom line is we're all about money. And so we're going to give you appearance versus reality. We're going to give you entertainment, not information. On the right, they want you inside your echo chamber, and they're telling you what makes you feel comfortable and what makes you feel good in order to get money from you. The left is no different. The problem with the press is that there are too many people that have no experience. They get out of college, they go straight to the White House, and they are bound and slaves to access. The Biden administration had the worst communication staff I've ever worked with, still does. And that's including Donald Trump. And the fact of the matter is, had Joe Biden been in that briefing room once every 6 or 7 weeks for 10 minutes at a time at most, and taken our questions and then said, hey, look, guys, there's my tight 10. I've got to go and rest. I'm an old man. If he had done what he did on national television during the debate, a lot of people would have forgiven him and say, look, he just had a bad day. He prepped for it horribly. He was out at a press conference. He was out at a rally right after the debate and did fine. Joe Biden, I can't tell you what's going on with Joe Biden because we have no access to him. And the press, what we do is it's a false equivalency. We're criticizing both and giving you the idea that the criticisms of Biden and Harris are equal with the moron and the lunacy of Donald Trump. And the fact of the matter is they aren't. Donald Trump is demented. He has dementia. I've seen this myself. I know for a fact he's delusional. He can't complete a sentence. My God, what he talked about, I promised Rob I wouldn't talk about it too much, but what he said about Arnold Palmer should give you an idea of how damn crazy this man is. He's a nut. And I've sat there. There were times when he would point at me and he would scream at me, and then a minute later he's winking at me, and I would have to go up in the press room and go, look, are we dating now? What's going on with this guy? I can't get him to answer a question. He's acting like he's flirting with me, for the love of God. So Donald Trump is a huge problem, but we constantly equate the problems that we have with And there are problems that we have with Harris and with Biden, but in no way are they anywhere near as bad as with Trump. So there is no anybody who say there's a liberal media or a conservative media, that's just a matter of convenience. So the truth of the matter is that we are slaves to money. We're not here anymore to it. If you want to change this problem, I went after Biden for this. I've told Harris this. I told Obama this. Break up media monopolies. It was Ben Bagdikian, who was the former editor of the Washington Post, who said, if you want a diversity of reporting, you need a diversity of thought. To get that, you need a diversity of ownership. We have failed this country miserably. If you think Donald Trump is the answer, you're misinformed, and we've misinformed you.
Just write down your name and what grade you're in. All right. Do we have time for another question? We're going to see if we have a question live, and then we'll go for a question in chat. Tim Dixon, go right ahead, sir.
Brian, do you think with 2 weeks to go that there is anything the Harris campaign should be doing differently with regard to messaging, or is this just all about turnout?
It is all about turnout, but I like that she went on Fox. We in the press have covered, she has two standard speeches, her stump speech and her anti-Trump speech. And those are all fine and good. She needs to mix it up a little bit. She needs to be out more often. She needs to be in front of the press. She needs a zinger. She needs, in a world that's all about appearance versus reality and all about gut checking and all about the emotion, she needs to bring about some more emotion for her supporters and, more importantly, in those swing states. Now, why there is anyone at this point in time who cannot possibly, I just can't fathom sitting on the fence on this. And I think most people aren't. I think many of them are looking for an excuse to vote for her. If you're going to hold your nose and vote in this election, you're not holding your nose and voting for Donald Trump. You're all in. You're buying him. Those that are sitting on the fence want a reason not to vote for Trump, and she needs to give them that. Why you would be on the fence, I don't know. To me, it's a choice between, between a dead man. Never mind. I'm not going to go there. But it's completely lunacy to sit there and think that you would be on the fence. But there are those who are, and she needs to be out there and reaching them with the type of comments and quotes and vivaciousness that will bring people to get them to go and not vote for Trump.
Should she speak more about Arnold Palmer?
And the Wonderful Wizard of Oz while you're at it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about the Arnold. I thought the 39-minute NPC dance that he did and Governor Noem was trying to imitate him. I was like, I used to watch Seinfeld, and I remember they used to make fun of Elaine Bennis, and I made her look like she was Fred Astaire compared to Donald Trump's. I don't even know what you call that. It didn't even look like dancing. It looked like it looked like he was having spasms, or that I've heard it said that it looks like he's taking on a couple of giraffes and masturbating them. But I won't. Did I say that? I won't go there.
Brian, please get over your shyness problem.
It's tough.
Reggie has a question. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I think going back to two old slogans. One from '64, in your what is it? In your nut, in your guts, he's nuts. Instead of in your heart, And but the other one goes even farther back. I will go to Korea. I think Kamala should announce that she, after the election, will go to Dhofar and meet with both Israel and whoever the other side is to end the war. And it would be very dramatic, and it would sit, because I've been doing phone banking, and there's a lot of good, if you go to events, Democrats or something, you can get on for phone banking. It's very easy to do. They've got it set up very nicely. And I was talking to this Muslim woman from Michigan, and she really wants to vote for Kamala, but she's so traumatized, and she's looking for something to hang her hat on that she can, as you said, hold her nose and vote and make that the priority. But that signal has not been given.
I think I don't know how many votes that gets her. I know it might swing Michigan. I'm supposed to be in Detroit next week talking to a Lebanese and Arab American group of donors and voters and telling them why Donald Trump is insane and why they should hold their nose. But look, if you've got to explain, how in the hell could you think that Donald Trump cares about anybody but Donald Trump?
No, these
Have you
folks are
been
not
missing
going to.
it? So,
They're not going to vote for Trump. They're
not going to vote at all.
Yes,
So that's
or
a
some
vote
third
for Trump.
party, because
Yeah.
they think we've done such terrible things. This country deserves Donald Trump, and the Democrats deserve to learn this terrible lesson. So she somehow, but they don't want to do that.
Sounds?
They need a reason not to do that.
Do you realize if you need a reason, then you're the problem. And I'll give you reasons. And when people ask me, I tell them all the time the reasons. Read the damn Constitution. It's not about punishing Democrats. Look, the Supreme Court, you want to convince people, here's what I tell people. The Supreme Court of the United States, our democracy is dead. Right now, dead. The Supreme Court of the United States killed it when they gave a president of the United States unlimited immunity for official acts, which they only can sanction as official. That's a star chamber, folks. That's right out in the open. Our democracy is dead. Our only hope of reviving it is making sure that fat, flaccid SOB does not get back in office, because he's going to get rid. He wants patronage jobs. He wants to get rid of the Federal Work Service as exists and wants people to sign loyalty oaths. That's what got a president shut. That's why we had the act at the beginning of the 19th century that was given by and signed by Republicans to make sure that the federal workforce was not that way. This is the end of democracy. This isn't. And if people are going, well, the Democrats deserve it, I'm going, yeah. Does the entire world need to suffer? Or at some point in time, do you belly up to the table and do what you know is right? Because that's what this is about. This isn't a game. This isn't, and that's what I'm telling people. Every Lebanese, Arab American that I know, I'm telling them this is not a game. This is, you don't need any more reason to vote for Kamala Harris than what the Supreme Court has already done to the United States. So wake up, grow up, and vote. And I get angry when people do that, and I understand it, because people they're leading their lives and they're not as involved in the process as we are. But it's still a frustration to me to have to sit there and explain to them after all that's going on, give them another reason. I just recite the reasons that already exist. End of rant. Sorry.
Excellent. Any questions from our live studio audience? Okay, here we go. Sarah, hold on one second. Get you. Sure. Brian's great.
Sorry. Nice to be here. My name is Sarah, and as many of you may know, I am a Muslim American. I am the person that's being spoken of, and I don't think that's how you talk to voters. No disrespect. That is not an effective way to talk to people that are brokenhearted and looking to be helpful. I have spoken to many people from my community, and I understand their anger, and negating someone's anger is not effective. Shaming people is not effective. So I ask a question: what's more important to you right now, shaming the Democrats or reducing the number of people that are going to die?
I'm sorry, but I just
I'm a reporter.
accept what you're saying. I'm sorry. There's a bigger picture, a much bigger picture. It's our freedom. It's our democracy.
Yes.
This man is going to take it all. He's going to send the army to get us because we don't agree with him. So please look at the big picture. And yes, I have a lot of friends from the Middle East too. And I care. I care a lot. I think it's awful what's happening. But for God's sake, vote the right way.
That's
And
exactly.
You think Trump will do anything for anybody? He won't.
No. Not only will he not do
anyone
anything
but
for
himself.
anybody, he'll only do something for himself. And those people who want to look at their community, look at the bigger community, look at the world, the international community and the world. Donald Trump is a menace. And I'm sorry, that's just a fact. And get over it, because I hurt No one hurts more than me. I get it. But at the end of the day, folks, this isn't a game, and it isn't about your feelings getting hurt. It's about the survival of the species. This is that moment, and this moment will define the world for the next 200 to 300 years. By God, don't be caught in your own grief. Understand the larger community issues, the world. This is everything that we've ever, and folks, I'm going to be as honest as I can. Do you think Donald Trump can be trusted with the codes? Think about that. Whose ass has he already kissed? Putin's. Do we need that back in the White House? I don't think so. This is a constitutional crisis. Vote your conscience. Understand what the vote is about. Is Harris, are the Democrats perfect? No. Are there problems? Yes. But if you need a reason to vote for a vote against Donald Trump, they're already there. They're abundant, and they are clear.
Great, thank you, Brian. Reggie, do we have any more questions? Okay. Do we have any? I'm sorry. Do we have any questions from like new? Let's go to new. Do we have any new questions yet? Okay, Moran, we just have time for like a quick. We only have like about 3 minutes left.
Yes, I just want to comment regarding that Muslim person in the audience that it's clear that Netanyahu would prefer Donald Trump over Biden. So by sitting out or by not voting, you're effectively handing another victory to Netanyahu. And B, I'm Iranian American, and I can tell you there's a big difference between wanting freedom for Palestinians versus an Islamist organization like Hamas. We learned the hard way. The Iranian people went for, okay, let's get rid of the Shah at any cost, and then we'll figure it out later. And now they're paying the price. And you will pay the same price. The Palestinian people will pay the same price if they end up under an Islamist organization like Hamas.
I think it'll be a higher price to pay. I think these are greater stakes. I don't think the stakes have ever been greater in a presidential race than we are facing this year.
Great. Thank you, Moran. Thank you, Brian. Do we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions from our live studio audience before we go on to a Wheel of Fortune and the lightning round? Or do we have any more questions from
where the money can really pile up?
Yeah, exactly. Reggie, any more questions online? Okay. Any more questions from the audience? All right. Brian, let me just get some final thoughts from you about you're in Kansas right now. You've been in red states. There was a surprise in Kansas a while ago regarding the abortion rights issue. What would you say that, for the Democrats or for the Republicans, what are some of the surprises we could look for in the national elections coming up?
I think you can see a couple of surprises already on the look. In Missouri, there's option 3 on the ballot, which would they're wanting you to vote no because they say it's against human health services for women, and it's actually just the opposite. You're going to look for lies. The bottom line is the MAGA people are not going to tell you the truth about what the problems are, and the problems are many. But it boils down to this. 75% of the people in this country believe a woman has a right to choose. She does. That's end of story. So read what's on the ballot. Make sure that when someone tells you what is going on, that you actually understand and don't react from the gut. Because at the end of the day, what you can expect out of MAGA is to reduce. I mean, there are those in that movement that don't want women to have the vote. There are those in that movement that do not want people of color to vote. There are those in that movement that do not want people who do not own property to vote. Folks, does this sound familiar? We've been here before. When Harris says we aren't going back, God bless her, because that's where Donald Trump wants to take us. And it's not my words. It's in the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, and it's on a 200 by 300 foot billboard in the middle of Missouri, and it says, Donald Trump will take us back. He means it, folks.
Great. Oh, one quick question, sir. All right. Very quick. While we still have you, Brian, one more quick question.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I wasn't in the vicinity. I wasn't drinking.
What what do you think um, about Elon Musk and his South African apartheid maybe background, and then trying to fund different voters?
I think it's illegal what he's trying to do, offering money to people to vote. That's strictly illegal, and he should be prosecuted for it. I think Elon Musk is a is a blight on humanity. I think he had a great idea about going to space. I wish he'd go, and and I wish he'd take Donald with him. At the end of the day, that's about the best thing that he could do for the planet. He is an authoritarian who's been threatened by Putin. If you look at and he's ashamed of his own offspring who is transgender. And if you take a look at it, Elon Musk is the epitome of a scared white man with too much money and too much influence. And he's not the only one. And he has turned Twitter into, my friend Hal Sparks, who's a comedian, says he calls it X and I call it shitter. He's turned it into a shitter. And that's exactly what it is. Elon Musk needs to be prosecuted for trying to buy votes.
Right. Thank you. All right. How about a big hand for Brian Karem? Brian, thank you so much. And
the applause was overwhelming.
Where can people find you besides salon.com, Salon Magazine?
Yeah, salon.com for the articles. I'm on the Mary Trump Network with the Nerd Avengers, and every Saturday we have a piece that's called Reverse Shot that drops where we take a look at the press and all the problems in the press today. And of course, you can catch me at Brian Karem on all social media and pick up the book, Free the Press, wherever fine books are sold.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Brian.
All righty.